Honestly, most companies will get it wrong because early career talent are very hard to vet. So we have like a vetted talent pool where we know the candidates are a skills fit for the job. If someone were to give you like a dollar, could you then return them like $100? Now on the VC scale, right? That's more like 1 million turning into $100 million.
Right. Welcome to The Growth Switch, the podcast where we dive into the strategies, struggles, and breakthroughs of bold business leaders. I'm your host, Jules Fox, growth strategist and lead content creator at Aries Media. I am here to uncover how today's top brands are scaling, overcoming challenges, and unlocking sustainable success. Now, for those of you just tuning in, Aries Media helps grow successful brands like yours with comprehensive hands-on support for sales, business development, and performance marketing. Go ahead and drop growth into the comments if you want to learn how to do that. Today, we've got a big mover and shaker. We've got Ford Coleman on the podcast. He's the founder and CEO of Runway, which is a fast-growing platform connecting top university talent with early career opportunities. And he's on a mission to help 1 million businesses unlock the power of entry-level hiring. And he has a darn good head start on that mission. Ford, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome to be here, Jules. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. So I got to tell you, you're a very influential guy. I see you all over my LinkedIn all the time, right? And how do you get to that level of like LinkedIn fame?
Yeah. I mean, that is a testament to consistency and doing the same thing over and over again every single day for about 12 straight months. So that's kind of how I've grown my LinkedIn. I really only actually started kind of posting consistently on there like 10 months ago. I think I was at maybe 8,000 connections and have since grown to about 140,000 in like 10 months. And it's really been about posting like educational content that's super valuable, but specific to kind of like my ICP, the audience that I'm trying to build.
Right. But for all of us, like it's just a side hustle because, your main gig, you walked away from a Fortune 500 job to bootstrap your company Runway. I want to hear about that story.
Yeah, no, that is has been like my lifelong dream, just being an entrepreneur. I just like growing up, I had your typical like neighborhood landscaping business. If I ever wanted a candy bar in the country store or something, I was with my dad, and my dad was like, "Oh yeah, well, why don't you go buy it then?" So I needed to figure out how to make money so I could buy things that I wanted. But I've always just kind of had that knack for entrepreneurship. And when I graduated, I went to school at Georgia Tech. When I graduated, I was playing around with different businesses that I wanted to start, but I also wanted to like have some income coming in. So a lot of people will say, if you want to be in entrepreneurship, like you should drop everything and just go like balls to the wall, go straight into it, live at your parents' house, live in the basement and like really rough it out. And that'll put your back against the wall. And that's how you kind of can make it. But I think there's a lot of other ways. For me, the path I took was getting a corporate job and then trying to start businesses on the side that would then become my main hustle when that came. So I'm a big believer of you can work 9 to 5 if you want, but you better be working 5 to 9 and 5 to 9 on both sides of the day there too. And so I worked at NCR for like 3 years. My first like probably year and a half, I was working on one business, but I was like really stuck in the 0 to 1 phase of entrepreneurship. I was like building an app and I thought like the app had to be cool. So I was like stuck in this like product development phase, never talked to customers, never released anything, didn't know what they wanted. And I was kind of in that phase for like a year and a half. And that was pretty tough. But luckily it, led to the next phase where I was like, all right, I can't be doing this. I got to do something different. Deleted that whole thing and went straight to the basics, like hitting the pavement. My idea was like pretty much like doing like a Craigslist for college students. So students could like hire their classmates to do stuff for them. So you could hire, like if you were out of town one weekend and you had a dog, you could hire just your classmate across the street to watch your dog for you. And so it was like a services marketplace.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
What we did was I just went straight to the streets and started getting people to sign up. Like I had a really crappy website, but I had like just 2 buttons: sign up for a service and hire someone for a service. And then if you clicked on one of the buttons, you would just go to a Google form and fill out a simple form. But I started actually acquiring people, users to sign up for certain things. I think we got like, I don't know, maybe like 1,000 people on the site who were like providing services and then hiring as well. And over the course of like 3 months, and bear in mind, I was like stuck in the 0 to 1 phase for like 18 months or something. And then over the course of 3 months, now I actually have like pretty much like 1,000 users, which was a huge kind of realization and growth period as an entrepreneur, which everyone kind of has to go through those growing pains. Over the course of 3 months, I think we did like I don't know, maybe like 200, 300 matches where we connected students to gigs, and played the matchmaker. And the total amount of that was like 3 grand gross.
Mm-hmm.
And so from a marketplace business model, it was just transactional. So like I made pretty much 10% on that. So basically made $300 over the course of 3 months and was like servicing a lot of people. So I was like, I feel like I would have to do billions of transactions here if I
Yeah.
want to make any money. Something isn't right. So sort of dawned on me, well, college students don't have any money. They all want to make money. They don't want to spend money, so they don't want to hire someone to do something for them because they don't have any money. So I needed to find a new market, essentially, to like hire a lot of these students that I had signed up for different gigs. So I did all sorts of tests. Like I went around to dog parks uh, in Atlanta where I lived at the time to see if they would hire college students for dog sitting at the park. And then another idea we had was freelancing, and so I went door to door to businesses and asked them if they'd ever hire
Yeah.
college students for you know office work that they're doing, doing sales calls or helping you on software development. And surprising to my surprise, like a ton of businesses were actually interested in that. And I ended up getting 2 clients from that exercise, and the total contracted amount for those 2 projects that they needed help with was like 8 grand. So I was like, oh, okay, now that is something, right? So I needed to just get 2 clients to get 8 grand as opposed to doing like 400 projects to get 8 grand.
Yeah.
Probably need to go in this kind of like B2B space. But that throughout that whole journey, I was still working my full-time job. Like I was just testing these different things. And so once I kind of got a little bit of traction, which was the essentially connecting companies to college students and fresh grads for work,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I kind of segued out of the corporate game and full time into my business. But that was sort of the evolution of that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the smartest way to do it is don't quit your day job until you have really landed
Totally.
on a valid thing. You maybe could have secured some funding for the app idea that you were going after initially. But at the end of the day, that could have been a huge waste of time. And it's when you actually took action, and saw this market validation that you decided to go all in. Now, was that the origin of Runway? Like early on, did you think it was going to be that, or like you kind of pivoted and it shifted into a Runway that it is now?
Yeah, totally pivoted and shifted into it. Like I had no idea. I mean, me as when I was in college, for example, too, like I didn't really have a problem getting internships or jobs. Like I've just been good at networking, and networking is a good skill to have if you want to get job if you want a job.
Yeah.
So I didn't really experience that pain, and I didn't really think. I just assumed maybe like because you go to career fairs and businesses are at career fairs, and like there's you can post jobs on LinkedIn. I thought it was relatively easy maybe for businesses to find student talent, but it really wasn't. And so I it's not like necessarily like at the time I wasn't like super passionate about recruiting or anything like that, or even in the career space in general, to be honest. But when like we got traction on that specific business idea, it became Runway, and yeah, then I've since have grown a big passion in it.
Yeah. And, it does solve a very specific problem. So what is this problem? What do most companies get wrong when they're trying to figure out how to hire entry level talent?
Honestly, most companies will get it wrong because early career talent are very hard to vet. Like there are some candidates that will look good on paper, but then are not actually like a good fit for your company. So for example, right, if you are looking to hire a financial analyst, right? Maybe you're a big company, you want to hire a financial analyst in your finance team. You have your target schools, and then you get a list of resumes from going to all the career fairs. And as long as the person's got a 3.5 GPA, is majoring in the right thing, studies finance, and like has maybe some leadership experience on campus, you give them an interview, and maybe hire that person. But in reality, that's like very traditional kind of old school way of hiring. Everything, a lot of things have moved to more like skills based hiring. And so the problem that a lot of these companies have is they'll like on paper, people look good and they'll hire those people, but in reality, they're not that great of a fit, both culturally and sometimes skills wise, and they'll churn within 12 months or something, and job hop and move to the next. And you see job hopping a lot in kind of like the early career space because people are trying to figure out kind of what they want to do.
Mhm.
But I think sometimes the employers make the mistake of extending offers and hiring the wrong people just because they're not properly vetting them in the interview and qualification process.
Absolutely. So how can you help these companies solve that problem in a unique way that's better for them, a better fit for the people that they're hiring, a better fit for the company themselves?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that has been essentially the backbone of our platform, of Runway. I mean, how it works is, number one, we recruit students all across the nation onto our platform, and then we have a vetting system in place where we scan their resumes, their profiles, their experience, and we figure out what jobs they're interested in, and then we match their profile to just generic job roles that are out there that they're interested in. And if they don't hit a certain score, then we recommend certain trainings or materials that they should get on, that they should do in order to then get access to our talent pool. So we have like a vetted talent pool where we know the candidates are a skills fit for the job, and then companies that use our job board and post jobs on our job board, they get access to like our AI vetting tools, which is pretty unique. So companies can essentially like do custom prompts on their applicants and get scores on how well those candidates match to those custom prompts. So that allows companies to like really, you can essentially say like, here's my dream candidate, and it will match all your applicants to exactly what you plug into your dream candidate. So that helps qualify who should be at least interviewed in the interview process, which helps hire the right people. And if you hire the right people, that helps with retention.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds hugely beneficial. It sounds like the exact type of tool that these companies have been needing for years, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been around now for about 3 years. We've worked with over 400 employers. Goal is to get to 1 million employers. So we got 999, 600, whatever it is to go.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, but you're
But
well on your way, you know?
yeah, you gotta, if you don't, you gotta get, everyone starts at zero.
Yeah. And I think something equally impressive is that you've worked with these hundreds of businesses without raising any capital. So, this is a bootstrap business, which to me is always like there's a lot of heart in there. There's a lot of passion. And even if you didn't necessarily come to like recruiting from this place of like, this is the thing, this is my calling to what I need to do in life, something in there is something that you're passionate about, the company, the idea, the message, how you're connecting people, something taught you about what you're going to do. So what was the lesson that bootstrapping taught you about sustainable growth and that scrappy execution that can really build a company?
Oh man, I'd say like, I mean, bootstrapping really, really makes you think about profitability. Profitability is everything at the end of the day too. Like if you're not cash flowing, if you're not a profitable business, like I don't know how I mean, unless I guess you're totally VC backed, but if you don't have a profitable business, that's not very attractive to a buyer. So buyers want to buy things that are profitable, that are making money. And that's why they're in kind of the acquisitions game. But I would say some of the most crucial learnings from bootstrapping is like being super focused on profitability and focus on
Yeah.
our customers.
I mean, it's so different when it's somebody else's money. If it's somebody else's money you're burning through, you're like, oh yeah, we could blow $1 million on that. Not a problem. It's not your $1 million. If it's coming out of your salary, like if you as the company owner, if the bottom line, what you're spending is coming out of your paycheck, it really makes you think twice about spending that, right?
Totally. And I mean, the whole raising money game is, it fits a very specific business and kind of business of the venture game. And a lot of founders and entrepreneurs, like I just feel like it's so glorified, just like raising money and getting a funding round. And like in reality, probably the VC model only works for like less than 10% of the kinds of businesses that are out there in America. So it's just like one thing that I've always just sort of took to heart. And sometimes it's another one of those brutal truths.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is at the end of the day, you don't have to share, like it's great to be able to spend somebody else's money, but then when you make that money, that's not your money to keep. Like if you did have as good of an idea as you thought and you do all the hard work, you only keep a percentage of it once you are VC backed,
Right. Yeah. No, that's the game. So as a founder, I think too, it's like a way to kind of test this is, if someone were to give you like a dollar, could you then return them like $100? Now on the VC scale, right? That's more like 1 million turning into $100 million.
Right.
But you kind of get the point. And that's kind of the test case you want to sort of give to yourself on your business. Like, okay, like, do I think I could return this person $100 million if they gave me $1 million? If your answer is no, then you should probably just figure out how to make $1 million yourself.
Yeah.
Rather than getting the $1 million.
Exactly.
Funding.
So how, this marketing thing has shifted quite a bit. You've spoken about companies maybe coming with an old school approach to like, this is what used to work as far as us getting, like these fresh hires, but also your approach has probably shifted because, the landscape of how you connect with these people, how Runway can connect with the right people has shifted as well. How do you find the right people to connect with that you can help the most?
I would say that's advertising. The more people that know who I am and what my business is, the right people will eventually fall into that funnel. And
Yeah.
consistently, pretty much advertising and putting yourself out there every single day, that compounds, and people will start talking.
Sure, absolutely. Now, as far as advertising and connecting and finding the right people, if you wanted to 10x your company over the next 3 years, would you double down on that? Or are there some other strategies that you might explore, some unique out of the box stuff to really explode growth for Runway?
I would say if I wanted to 10x over the next 3 years, I would just do X more of the output that I'm currently doing right now. That's gotten me to where I'm at, which is the one of those things easier said than done. Like, there are time constraints to that, there are resource constraints to that, money constraints to that. So you might not really be able to, but that would be, if people are like, I want to grow, like, how do I double my business this year? Just do double of what you're currently doing.
How
That's
do
the
how
easy.
do I
That's
make
the
more money?
simplest.
Work harder, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the simple. I do. I think that's the simplest kind of way. I don't think there's, you can try different sort of growth hacks and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, what got you to, 500,000. If you want to get to 1 million, just do double of what you did to get to 500,000.
Yeah. 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 Awesome. All right. So how can people find you and connect with you?
On social media, I'm all over it. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, the DMs are open.
Awesome. And all of those links for the viewers, for the listeners, those links are going to be right down below in the show notes. You can click on those. You can connect with Ford. You can connect with Runway. Ford, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your expertise on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, no, totally. Thanks, Jules. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, for sure.